We're going to talk about the Sarah Trone Garriott, Elissa Slotkin event yesterday at the Iowa Tap Room. Senator Slotkin came to give the keynote address at the the Polk County Democrats event last night. I didn't go, but I heard that it was very good, and it was a really good event. It was well attended. There was about 100 people. And Senator Slotkin was very interesting. I don't know if you know her or not, or of her, but she's
People don't talk about how glamorous this work is.
well, there's Zachary walking around.
How are you, Bob?
I'm good. That's a better signal than you had before.
I'm happy to hear that. We're gonna enjoy a little bit of scenic Iowa City, Iowa. I hope that doesn't put off your whole listenership.
I doubt it. They're like me. I love Iowa City. Our youngest went to school there.
Is that right? Remind me what age they are?
She's our youngest, and she's 21.
Okay.
So studied psychology, and now she's working in Coralville with autistic kids, and so it's really
Oh my
good.
God. So they got a real job, unlike
They
us.
got a real job. It's really good. Okay, so, you're sitting there so relaxed, so handsome, having your coffee, just
Debonair. This is
yeah,
just
man of the town.
right.
It was so
People
good
don't
to
talk
see
about
you,
how
yes.
glamorous it is.
It is. It's a good thing you've got that nice coat.
It is a nice look. I'm gonna tell you, this is actually the first coat. I had my coat stolen out of the coat room at my church one Sunday, and so I spent most of this winter, most of last winter, like wandering around, just like kind of. Well, I'll eventually get around to buying a coat. I'll eventually get around to buying a coat, and if you put off the decision long enough, the savings you're putting aside actually rank up in a
Well, good.
meaningful way. So.
Somebody stole your coat at church.
It happens. It happens. When you look, everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome to the table, and you kind of gotta roll with the punches, I think.
Well, very good. Let's get to it. We were at an event yesterday at the Iowa Tap Room in Des Moines, and it was a very interesting event. About 100 people showed up, and it was about healthcare. It was a town hall on healthcare. And Slotkin, I said earlier, Slotkin was here to be the keynote speaker at the Polk County Dems event last night, and she took some time and met some of constituents, hopeful constituents of Sarah Trone Garriott. And it was about healthcare, but we touched on some other things. Can you sort of paint the picture of the room? What was it like? What was your perception?
Yeah. So I've been going to a lot of town halls for the third district specifically. When we talk about what are the big, if there is a big issue going into this election, um, the emergent in many years we've talked about how healthcare, everyone's talking about healthcare at the doors. Healthcare is the most important issue on people's minds. If there's a case to be made that it has ever been an issue, that case can be made this year, right? Not only did we have tremendous cuts to Medicaid through the one passage of the one big beautiful bill, not only is kind of coverage, insurance coverage, like a long running issue in states like Iowa. But a lot of those cuts have come home to roost. I was in Ottumwa, God, it must have been maybe like a week ago, covering Sarah Trone Garriott was in town, holding around table, talking to folks about how the closure of the Mercy One clinic in Ottumwa is leaving a lot of people out of, having to drive hours to get some pretty basic coverage, right? Stuff that used to come from their primary care physician through that spot. Fast forward to where I saw you the other day. You and I kind of walk in, see the Sarah Trone Garriott campaign setting up for what is a kind of a big stump moment, right? Elissa Slotkin, Senator of Michigan, has been, for the folks on the left, she's an object of ire, right? She's not quite far enough to the left for them. For folks on the right, very appealing. And if you're in Iowa and you're looking at voter registration numbers, you know you're going to have to convince some number of folks that sometimes vote Republican or do vote Republican normally to vote with you. That's less true in the third district, but the room was filled with a lot of. I don't know how many folks you talked to, Bob. And I want to hear what you about like what you learned from folks there. But I spoke to three people, two gentlemen, one woman, all of whom, rather than wanting to talk about healthcare, wanted to talk about winning, right? That the thing that was on their mind was this notion that um, you can talk about public option or you can talk about Medicaid for all, but like the thing that's got to happen is for us to get someone with our values in one of those seats, right? What did you learn? What did you hear from folks during the either during the town hall or in your interviews afterwards?
Well, they were, as you said, really ready for change. They were hungry for change. They were hungry for just basic minimal health care. I think people wanted respect. I mean, like, we're in a country right now where we are so disrespected at so many levels. It's hard to make ends meet for a lot of people working paycheck to paycheck. Um, Lots of people with, just issues regarding healthcare. I really liked the stories that we heard. And what I really liked too was the hands that were raised. If anybody has had a problem with healthcare, raise your hand was the
Right.
question. And there wasn't nearly enough time to get to everybody. If they would have said, if you've ever had a problem with healthcare or somebody in your family has, everybody would raise their hands.
Yeah.
And so,
Slotkin was a talker, man.
yes,
She definitely, I mean, you can tell she's been stumping quite a number of states. She talked about going to Kansas, Ohio, even South Dakota. Did she say South Dakota? Was that it? Or Idaho? I forget. I wrote it up in the story about
Idaho.
Iowa starting line. Yeah. Actually, I think the biggest laugh she got throughout the entire town hall was when she taught. She was like, she's yeah, I'm visiting all these Midwestern states, making a case for how Democrats in the Midwest need to be the people to carry the mantle for the National Party. I've been to Iowa, I've been to Kansas, I've been to Ohio, and I've been to well, I guess Idaho's not the Midwest, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I thought she was very good. I mean, she's gotten a lot of flack. She went on the Bill Maher show, and it was she's got a lot of flack for that because
Because
yeah,
Bill Maher.
yeah, yeah, because of Bill Maher. I don't know. I thought she was very interesting,
Yeah.
um, but I mean, there were stories like there was this one guy I couldn't quite see how young he was, but he said he was young with a lot of health problems, and it costs him like $80,000 a year for his conditions, and
Yeah.
he's moving to Germany where he can get health care,
Right.
and so that was very interesting. Another woman talked about how difficult it was for hospice patients. Another woman, and this woman I actually know, I've met her before from Atumwa, talking about the impacts on the closure of the clinics
Yeah.
or the clinic there, and that was, really bad. And I like that Trone Garriott had been there, talked to the people. She had stories to tell. And then there
Right.
was a woman that worked at, I presume, blank children's hospital. That said, with the closures of other hospitals around, the increase in patients that everybody has to see, it's just crazy. And
Right.
so, our healthcare has to suffer. And so I don't know. I hope we're at a tipping point with respect to healthcare. We need, single payer. I think we need Medicaid for all, but we'll see what happens. There's just so many, big corporate interests against it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, a lot of them are based out of Des Moines. Interestingly enough, Iowa's kind of interesting in that way that insurance plays kind of is in kind of an interesting place because it's kind of everybody's favorite punching bag, right? Like private insurance as these are the folks that they make a dime off of raising your premiums and denying you money when you make a claim for coverage of whatever. Um, but with so much of its infrastructure, so much of it being based in this in Des Moines, right? Like I always think it's interesting to watch kind of Iowa politicians turn themselves into pretzels, trying to either figure out if they're punching at insurance or if they're trying to make amends. I'm kind of with you that like I mean I'm right now we're in a period where the national alignment is getting there is clearly the window has shifted enough to make a public option palatable for Democrats running for Congress. Trone Garriott has endorsed it. Josh Turk has endorsed it. Zach Wallace has endorsed it. I'm certain. I'm certain we'll hear from more candidates. I haven't talked to people in the first, second, or fourth district about whether or not that's something they endorse, but it's becoming more and more of a popular option. So all a public option, I think it's important to anytime you say one of these things, you describe it. So all public option, right, is the government offering a insurance plan of its own, right? Instead of us just being subject to the kind of profit motives of private insurers, instead of us trying to expand, parameters and protections that, what's allowed, regulating the private insurance industry. The idea is we're going to put a public option out there, sponsored that is offered by the government as a means to try in hopes. The idea is like hopefully you can, if the government is undercutting private insurers, then slowly we can bring down prices. Maybe private insurers will, in wanting to compete with that public option, they'll bring down prices, or they'll be offering coverage for more conditions. Maybe they will change their premium structuring, the way they bracket out some of these fees. Um, I'm suspicious though of a public option and whether or not it's good enough for the to get people the care that they need affordably, right? Because it's still, I mean, it is still a subject to all of the problems of that the ACA was, right? ACA was this great program, not enough, but it's a great program. Then a million cuts later, right, we're still kind of griping about, the extent to which it can, it's a good program. I'm kind of with you that like public option, maybe that's a good place to start. Maybe it's not. But I just want something different than what's currently offered to families like mine.
Well, yeah, we need something different. Talk to the people that have had their premiums, they're on Obamacare, and their premiums doubled. I mean,
Right.
so Republicans haven't done anything to help. All they've done is to hurt it. But and there's so many obstacles. It's like I was on a Medicare Advantage program, and they dropped everybody in the zip code.
Jesus
And,
Christ.
and you didn't tell, and I didn't get anything, or I don't remember getting anything. And so I went for my checkup, and a $1,700 bill appeared. And I learned then when I talked to the hospital that, oh, that was why it was dropped. And they ended up figuring it out, so I didn't have to pay it. I don't know if that would happen for people in Des Moines.
Right.
Our local hospital went to bat for me, and they found it, but I don't know if I'm sure the Des Moines people are overwhelmed. And I think that there's maybe Iowa City, Cedar Rapids too, but it's just like whenever they can put an obstacle in front of us, they will.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think that's a point, a phrase that I keep coming to is places make cases for themselves, right? Like based on the resources available, based on the jobs the jobs you can work, based on the housing that's available, based on your ability to get treatment for your cancer, to based on the extent to which you're more likely to get cancer in that place. These are the things that when folks are growing old and they want to retire in a place, that they're thinking about. This is what young folks are thinking about. This is what every person with any degree of mobility, not everyone has that, but every person with a degree of mobility, does the kind of crude accounting of the extent to which, this is something that's meaningful to them, that will do something for them in the long term. And when you take away, when the clinic closes, right, when the insurance when the insurance package becomes, too rich for your blood, this is what happens. People make really dire choices, make choices that they may not want to, right? Based on what what accounting this leaves them with.
Yeah. Very good, very good. We're getting some comments I want to address.
Yeah.
No, you can't see them. Lynette says, "Get private equity out of life." I think that's a great idea. I mean,
Get private equity out of everything.
yes, yes. So thank you, Lynette. Lynette says she's an independent and will vote for progressives, and she's from Northeast Pennsylvania. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, it all boils down to that. Let's just get private equity out of it because if
Man,
we're buying
I
people yachts.
I've been doing a lot of reporting, in fact, for years now on private equity's ownership of mobile home parks in the state of Iowa. And you want to talk about something that boils my blood, right? The rent increases for way worse services, the kind of way that folks get nickel and dimed. And there's a mobile home park just north of Iowa City. I did a series about recently where you have it was built on a former excavation site, right? And they didn't remediate it correctly. They didn't do enough soil compaction, do enough drainage for it, and now you have mobile homes that are like literally sinking into the soil, like literally, like and private equity firm Having Park Capital, now Having Park Communities, got paid an engineer to come in and say, no, that's fine, no problem here. Don't believe the evidence of your eyes, right? These folks get away with so much, and they cause such pain in our communities. So, and that's true in healthcare, as true in housing as is in healthcare.
Yeah. Well, I see Peter Rose, Blue Thoughts from a Red State, is here, and he's got a great Substack, and Peter's everywhere. And
Howdy, Peter.
yeah, he was there in the front row, talking, asking questions. He gave a little present to Slotkin. It was an American flag and an Iowa flag, and it was very touching to see that. And he's a real fighter for democracy, and it was good to see him. Speaking of fighters for democracy, Denise O'Brien, our
Hey,
friend, is
Denise.
here, and she says, "How did the candidates respond to the stories? What's your take?"
How did the candidates describe which stories?
To the people, their stories, the hospice
Gotcha.
lady, the Atuma lady.
I thought there was if there was like all right, so it's like setting the scene for you a little bit. Shot chaser. You had people talking about um, longer wait times for care, worse care. You have people describing closed clinics and kind of the extent to which they can. Iowa and the nation is creating a place where they can continue to live where they love, right? Chaser Slotkin during the press conference is asked kind of what she made of these stories, right? And she said, we in Michigan are trying to verbalize to folks what the impacts of some of this is going to be, what this will look like on the ground for folks. People are feeling it in Iowa, right? Like this is immediate here in Iowa. Clinics are. It's not. We're not talking about how clinics could close if the clinics are closing, right? We're not talking about how you will have to drive further to get the care that you need. Art Collin wrote about how long he's having to drive in order to get his cancer treatment, right? This is what happens over decades of chronic underfunding for our social safety net in this country, and it's no surprise to me. I'm glad. I'm glad Slotkin made that observation, right? That we're talking about it in other places, but y'all are feeling it here.
Yeah. And you're right, her strategy, just tell your stories. It doesn't have to be political. You have to say, this is what we're going through with my son, with my daughter. This is and one of her examples was about water quality. This is what they're doing upstream from our water source. And when I tell people where I walk most mornings is in rural Mahaska County above where Cedar Creek runs into the Des Moines River. And there's a hog confinement right there at the juncture of those two rivers, right there on the edge. When I tell people that, they're just stunned. And
Well,
so,
it sounds beautiful. It sounds like a beautiful thing for the pigs who definitely can look out the big pane glass windows of the hog confinement, right? Over this
right.
beautiful landscape.
Yeah, and I'm looking out over the over the overlook, and that's what you see. Otherwise, if you look a little bit to the left, it's beautiful, and you see the bald
Makes me
eagles, but still
furious.
right there. But so I guess her point was it was stories that make the difference, and people can make their own conclusion. If this is what's happening with our water, if this is what's happening with our cancer rates, if this is what's happening with our health care, then they can figure out what they need to do with respect to voting. And so I thought that was good. She also told a story about she's never won her town, she's never won her district, whatever, whatever her township or whatever, because it's so red. But she says that women organized behind the scenes and they formed what they called and told their husbands book clubs. And they're really going out to work for Slotkin. I can't believe it's 2026 and women still have to say that kind of thing. But, you know, it's, yeah, it's just, well, kudos to those women getting there for however they need to get there.
Totally. Well, and like, I mean, if you want to talk about it, like, the mover and shaker of Democratic campaigns, right? Like, I've been working on some reporting. I've been interested in like door knocking, the extent to which door knocking is effective. So I've been doing some reporting, following some folks, digging into some of the science on it, and like, sorry to the guys, sorry to the boys, but it's like it is women who are like showing up to with clipboards in hand to talk about who is embodying our values and who isn't, at door knock after door knock. And I mean, not even it's not even closed, right? I mean, like women are in some ways like carrying the democracy forward in a big way, and yeah, I mean, like to the boys, we gotta get our shit together. But I mean, it's when you talk like it's no surprise then maybe, right, that why control is more exercise, right, on women, why they're having to lie about going to book club as opposed to going to knock for a Democrat or someone with a D behind their name. Yeah, it's not as unfortunately it's not as surprising, given the impact that demographic has on our elections, on our towns, on our politics.
Well, and one of the, speaking of women, watching those two level-headed women talk passionately about what we needed to do to get the health care that we deserve. It was just so honest, so open, no
Mm,
spin,
yeah.
just and they cared. You could tell they cared. They weren't it was just pretty neat. But I think both of them are remarkable women, and
Yeah.
it was very interesting to see, and the crowd saw it too. They saw that they were remarkable. The crowd really got into it, and
Bob,
yeah,
question for you. What'd you make of Sarah Trone Garriott? Like you've been I think you're in Trone Garriott or in Nunn's district, right?
no, I'm just out of it. I've always liked Sarah. I've liked her for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons I like her is I like it whenever lefty pastors actually say something rather than just sitting around afraid to do anything.
Yeah.
I really like that. I liked her. I'm a lapsed Lutheran,
Yeah.
okay?
And she's a
But
Lutheran, right?
yeah, she's a Lutheran, and what Lutheran Services for Iowa has done for refugees is remarkable, and she was one of the leaders of that, and I went up there and talked with her and a bunch of other pastors. And, I always say, "I'm a lapsed Lutheran, but I remember my Sunday school lessons."
Yeah.
And they said, "That's good enough for us,"
Bob, I've
but
always said you kind of cut the visage of a Catholic priest if maybe a Greek Orthodox priest if you just get the crucifix and the black robe. I think you could hang, my man.
well, I've got a friend from New York who said, "I bet you get this all the time, Bob. You look just like a rabbi."
Oh, Shabbat, yeah, maybe a Shabbat house guy. Yeah, there's you could.
What that has to do with anything, I don't know, but I really align with Lutheran Services of Iowa, and they were
Yeah,
t and refugees were promised a level of support from the federal government, and that was taken away by Trump, and they were trying to get an effort to get I think it was like $88 a month that they were
right.
promised to get the refugees, the support that they need. No, I think she's fantastic, and that's when I
Yeah,
first started learning about her, and I hope other lefty pastors step forward because we've seen the what right wing Christian air quotes nationalists wrest Christianity of my youth
well,
away.
right. I'm a practicing Episcopalian, and well, a thing that I've been really excited about has been the way that I'm seeing, if you had to invent a candidate in the lab that would get just my vote, like if you were just trying to like get all like just to make the like I mean truly like the stack the points to get Zach's vote. You would create a James Tallarico. He's handsome to look at. He reads as young, and he talks about the social gospel, right? He talks about the like what's possible, when what is possible through grace and forgiveness. And I think he's a great candidate. I've been loving seeing candidates who talk the way people that I grew up with talked, right? About like what is possible through God. I mean, like he's Trone Garriott's one of these folks that I think I honestly I'm not seeing it as much as I did when she was a Senate. When she, or I guess she's still in the Senate. I don't hear as much of it as I did, but it's still buried in there, right? That kind of sensibility as a religious leader. It's if you're a student of the civil rights movement, I mean, you can't talk about that period of history without talking about the way that lefty pastors, priests, etc., got together and pushed for change, not just for their congregations, but for this world, right? It's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. I think me as someone on the kind of broader left, and the religious left, I'm interested in the way that people are carrying that piece of them, that piece of God with them. I think it's great. I want to see more of it.
Yeah, I want to see more of it too, because I think that there's not a lot of people on the national stage. Pastor Reverend William Barber's one of them. There's not a lot on the national stage, and I think
No.
Tallarico's great. We've got some other comments
Yeah.
that going back, and I want to say, um, you started lots of comments on my beard, and I'm going to say thank you all. We don't have to discuss that. Lynette says, now all we get are bombs, but no health care. I saw some guy
Yeah.
on the left saying every bomb is something that's taken away from America. That's really
That's right.
interesting. Peter wants to say that we need to tell the story of 65% of our honeybee colonies collapsed last year because of pesticides. He tells that story and people are shocked. Denise, one of the women who's been doing grunt work for many years, carrying our country and our state, Denise O'Brien, says women have
Those are the
always
days.
worked and have carried this country. Uh, well, so let's see what else. Sarah's the real deal. Laura Bellins joined us. Laura says that it's striking that and Laura Bellins, a great political analyst, subscribed to her Substack.
Yeah.
Leading,
I never want to talk about politics knowing that Laura Bellin's in the audience. Like I just kind of want to go read what she would write about these questions. You know what I'm saying? That's
when
all
we're
it's
on a
gonna
panel, I always make sure she speaks first.
say.
That's good. She says it's striking that Rob Sand and Sarah Trone Garriott talk about their faith frequently, and two of the
Yeah,
candidates in the second congressional district are
it's
also
true.
ordained faith leaders. Yes,
Grant
thank
Tweed Ball and Lindsey James. That's right.
you. Yeah, yeah. His campaign reached out to me today. Maybe we'll do something with him. I don't know him, but Lynette doesn't like Tallarico. Um, has James Carville. James Carville, he just needs to go away, I think.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
older and crustier than me.
he looks more and more like Darth Sidious with each year. He's like if Darth Sidious came from Kentucky. He's um I don't know. Like I think he's like one of many. If he was like the only voice, wasn't the only voice doing in the kind of margin doing the work he does. Maybe I would take him. Maybe I would be a little more interested. But like I don't see a lot. I don't see the disciples. I don't see the disciples that make a profit. I don't get it.
Well, I think in Tallarico's defense, I think if he gets any of the help he can get, they probably need people from all sides of the party to take him over the
Yeah.
top. And I want to make sure that we talk enough about Sarah.
Yeah.
I think that we really need her to beat Zach Nunn. Zach Nunn, who won't show up for town halls. I attended one, not a
Yeah.
town hall, but he likes to go to like jails. I went to the Dallas County Law Enforcement Center. He and and Joni Ernst were there presenting to local law officers and the media, and that was it. If if I couldn't go and meet my constituents, I would guess I was doing something wrong. And so he doesn't do that.
Yeah. Well, and like with the network of money, tonight there's a town hall by End Citizens United in Progress, Iowa. Zach Walls and Josh Turek will both have consecutive kind of back-to-back panels, I think. And I mean, it's kind of focused on what I think is the most salient issue in politics right now, which is the way that huge amounts of money and easy, dark access to said money mean it makes it hard to trust our outcomes. It makes it hard for your voice to matter. I think it's unsurprising maybe that folks like Nunn are able to get away with not holding town halls when the folks that are going to fund the TV ads, the mailers that will make the bulwark of their campaign come this general election. Those folks already know who they're going to give money to, and when those checks will drop, right? I mean, you the little guy, you the little guy doesn't matter. There's like that George Carlin bit, right? Like, there's a room and everybody's in it and you're not invited, right? Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. But I think talking about this, the need to get big money out of our politics is the most important issue of our time.
Well, and with respect to electing Democrats, I mean, we've had, I think, the last 5 presidencies, last 5 Democratic presidencies, we've had to uh, pull us out of a recession. Republicans
Right.
do one thing very well. They destroy the economy, and so we need to
Yeah.
put Democrats back into Washington, back in the Iowa State House. We're running back-to-back billion-dollar deficits in Iowa, and it's just amazing. And the Republicans are acting like, oh, it's going to rebound, it's going to get better, and it's not. So we need Sarah in Congress or other Iowans in Congress and to elect Democrats in the Iowa legislature. It's the only way we're going to fix this economic mess.
Well, and like I don't think just getting them into. I think everyone on this call, everybody in the audience will agree that even once we get them in the seat, right, it's not good enough just to have a D on the podium. Like what we need is changes to campaign finance reform, right? So we can deal with this issue, right? We need to make healthcare more affordable. So we need to create that public option, right? And so anybody, I don't know, like that's the ball, right? Like it's getting folks on insurance tomorrow, right? It's getting money out of politics tomorrow. It's like these are the things that we need to keep our eye on. And when it's a Democrat on the other end of this, we need to hold them accountable. That, like you said, you wanted a public option, Sarah Trone Garriott. What are you doing to get us a public option too, right? And I believe her when she says this is something she's in favor of. I look forward to the work when we're asking to what extent, not whether or not.
Well, the things that we need to recognize is this is going to be very difficult. It's going to have to be revolutionary. Returning to 2015 isn't enough. We can't go back to what it was before. This has to be like New Deal territory, and the New Deal was messy. It was really messy, and that's what we're going to need. It's going to have to be in every aspect. There's going to have to be end of Citizens United. There's going to have to be antitrust stuff. There's going to have to be the I'm going to say this, but we need to tax billionaires out of existence. I don't
That's
think
true.
billionaires would exist. I think
We need
that
reproductive rights, man. We got to get it's
yes, reproductive
all
rights.
ships, man.
Yeah. So all of this, it has to be revolutionary. It can't be piecemeal. And the Democrats shouldn't be looking to rebuild 2015. They need to be rebuilding, 2030. They need to be changing it, and they should be talking about that.
Yeah.
Lots of things. So there's one other thing that was really on my mind yesterday, and Elissa Slotkin was one of those 6 Democrats that put out the statement, the video. They'd served our country. She was a CIA analyst,
Yeah.
and that just a reminder to our military: you don't have to follow orders. And so I asked, and ahead of me, I was able to follow up a woman who asked the question about if Trump is committing war crimes, what are we going to do? I mean, these are war crimes. Trump confessed that he was going to, destroy a civilization,
Mm.
and it was going to be last night.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know what Slotkin thought about that. And I'll share. What did you think about her response to the woman's question and mine?
Yeah, so like her, if the way I kind of wrote about it for over at I was starting line was that um, she said she's glad that Republicans are beginning to grow a backbone about trying to deal with they signing on to kind of hold Trump accountable. The extent to which that's true, I think we can get into the weeds about, but taking her at her word. She did not say she stopped short of coming out in favor of impeachment, stopped short of coming out in favor of the 25th and having the executive branch utilize the 25th Amendment to depose Trump. Was that enough? Like I don't know, man. Like I look at going back to our conversation about how like each bomb is potentially a clinic that we don't have here in Iowa that could have been used to house my neighbors. It could have been used to make sure my neighbors get enough food. Like that's that shit I do care about. And when I hear when I see I don't know if y'all have seen the I forget who put it out, but it's like it's a counter that's just like kind of giving like a sense of how much money this war in Iran is costing us. And I look at that money, I think like, that pin, this could have been, this could have been for my, secured my food pantry for a decade, right? This could have, I don't know. There's so much lost, because of this. And anybody that isn't trying to go hard in this moment when someone has so obviously crossed a humanitarian international law line, I mean, just like as a fucking human, right? Like the idea that you would, sorry for my language, but like the idea that you wouldn't, seize on this moment to draw a strict contrast, and say that, and to the hilt say like this is not enough, right? We've got to get this, we've got to do something about this guy, right? Ending a civilization, man. Like I'm a army brat, right? My dad deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, did peacekeeping work in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I grew up with a dad that was deployed, like spent a lot of time overseas, not in my household, raising his children, right? And I'm proud of his service, right? But I think about the two Iowa boys didn't come back from Iran or from was it Qatar? Well, I forget where the bombing took place now. Anyway, I think about the people we've already lost. I think about the money the lives we lose because we're spending money elsewhere. I mean, the kids that don't have their father in this time. I didn't feel like it was enough. What did you think?
I didn't think it was enough, and I just want to say I believe it was 2 men and 1 woman that lost their lives with Iowa connections.
2 men and 1 woman. Thank you.
Yeah, and no, I didn't think it was enough because, I mean, I think I said to her, I did a brief TikTok on it, but she said, "Yeah, they're coming back next week. They're coming back next week." I said, "The destruction of a civilization is tonight." He's
Yeah,
saying
right.
tonight. What are we doing now? And so I wasn't satisfied with that. Maybe she, knew it wasn't going to happen tonight, but it's just it's going to be prolonged. There are going to be war crimes. There's already been war crimes. You can't convince me that they didn't know they were bombing a
Right.
girls' school. They have the best
Right.
intelligence in the world. The other thing that I didn't think was very good was a senator under the Trump administration, even though I really liked her, I just want this is just honest, constructive criticism. If she hasn't been thinking about the 25th Amendment, I find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Well, I
uh,
mean, we should have known. We all should have known. It was Tuesday. It was Taco Tuesday, right? Trump always. What is the phrase? Trump
chickens out.
always chickens out. It was Taco Tuesday, right? Maybe we should have known that he was going to agree to a ceasefire on a Tuesday. I don't know. Maybe Kalshi or Polymarket would have better predicted it.
After the session, you and I spoke for a bit with Liz from Iowa of TikTok fame, and
Uh-huh.
Liz is amazing. Liz Fleming, just check her out on TikTok, and she expressed something that I've felt so much, and you just that there's this sort of sense of horror hanging over us, this
Right.
sense of being disturbed and everything's out of control and the world is on fire. And I've written several times, and I'll probably write again because it's true, is that when I can't sleep at night, I hear the cries of children on the wind
Yeah.
from Gaza, from Iran, from America, from different places. The cries of children are on the wind, and that is
Right.
getting to us. And maybe and we seem powerless, but we're not.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way? Did you feel like Liz? You told her to go home and not go to the Polk County dinner, or I did, or I don't know. It was just we all have that. Does anybody
Yeah.
else on the in the chat have that feeling of dread?
I think I have that feeling of dread. I think I despair for our country. I despair for what we've done to other countries, other peoples, other places. Yeah, but I'm a child of the Iraq War, so like in some ways, like that's always been true about my relationship with my country. Is there's like a complicated mix of I identify so thoroughly as an American, so deeply as an American with our tradition, our history, and all of its problems and all of its successes. Um, I feel a mix of I feel that dread, but like I'm also struck by I have seen more people looking to the events of the day and becoming moved to action in a way that I have found really humbling, right? My work at Starting Line is like relatively new. I come from a pretty traditional news background. You do too. I'm not used to kind of bringing my heart to some of my reporting, but I've one of the things that I've been really humbled by is the way that in response to an age that could so easily lead us to paralysis, lead us to kind of a despair of stillness, of silence. I find that people feel like this is not that. Not only is this not good, not only is this not representative of me and mine, my people, my history, what's best in our country. I'm finding that folks are really driven to do something, right? They're asking, okay, well, like, but can I knock doors, or can I donate to this cause that I believe in? Can I spend hours at my food pantry? Can I spend hours with my neighbors doing work to try to convince them that this is what would change this world? Like, this is what would transform this world in my lifetime and yours. I'm with you, dude, that there's plenty to despair about. I when I learned about the bombing of that girls' school in Iran, southern Iran, like that weighed on my head. That still weighs on my head. I mean, it's something I can't get out of my head. But at the same time, I see what's possible. I feel and I sense from my neighbors something different that feels important.
Yeah, I feel it too. And there were 55 different towns with no king's protests. I think the small towns say more than, you know, big marches in Des Moines. I think 40
Yep.
people in, let's say, Panora. I attended
Right.
an event there. I see Liz Karst has joined us, and saw her at that event and met a lot of great people trying to um, change the world. And so 55, I think, different No Kings events. And
Right.
I don't know, it is encouraging. And isn't it nice to be sitting with people that
Yeah.
that you are on the same team?
Yeah. It's nice to share values. It's nice to know that you share some bedrock that dropping bombs on women and children is wrong, and bad things are bad, good things are good.
Yeah. And it means that we're not alone. I think at Drake University many years ago, the poet Maya Angelou, somebody asked her, and somebody here knows the quote verbatim. I don't, but it was, maybe you know it, Zach. But somebody said, "Are you ever afraid of stepping up on the stage?" And she said, "No, I'm never afraid of stepping up on the stage, because everybody that I've ever known, everybody that's been kind to me, everybody that's a teacher, everybody that has helped me along the way, they're there with me."
That's
And so
right.
I'm never alone. And so that's what we need to get out of this is that
Yep.
despite the despair we see, that we are never alone. And that whenever we go to whatever protests we go to, Des Moines, Indianola, wherever all across the state, or even more importantly, when we gather to help a candidate, when you donate to a candidate, when you write postcards, when you put up signs, when you give $5. And the thing is, we can all do something. Some
Yeah.
some of us, like, I can't make phone calls. I don't like to make phone calls. So I have something that I can do and I do it. And we all have something that we can all do. And so we're all a part of it and we're all together. And
Yep.
I think this is sort of a good point where we can end. We're at
Yeah.
46 minutes. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Bob, it's always good to hang out with my granddad for a spell, man. It's just good to. It's always good. I'm excited. I'm leaving this talk a little more fired up than I came into it. So thanks for having me on. I hope we can do this again and often, maybe.
That'd be fun. So thank you. Thanks for all of you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for supporting us. Keep in touch. Let us know what you're up to, and then just we're with you. So thank
Yeah.
you so much. Bye bye.
Peace, folks.